Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we are shipping out today on Monday. It's still been kind of like a week and a half of like a medium amount to low amount of quantity of sales, and the sales numbers aren't the worst, but they're also not the best. But I'm going to jump into the first one. All right, so the first thing right here is AT43 Captars Carmen's attachment box right here. I'm not too sure what this miniature game is. I know I sold something else recently where I said I was going to look into it. I haven't looked into it yet, but this thing is incomplete. There's still a couple miniatures, and there's also like a bit that needs to be glued. I disclosed that in the listing, but this sold for $18.99 plus shipping. Everything is going to be plus shipping. All right, moving along is right here. This is pretty cool. This is a Railroad Inc. double-sided promo board for the board game Railroad Inc. It's a roll and write, so think of like Yahtzee where you roll dice and then you make decisions based on the dice that are rolled. On this, you're connecting different train routes and walkways and stuff like that. So this is going to be a promotional board. There's a ton of expansions for this game in general, and this one just happens to be a promo board. I have one more of these, so I relisted it, and this one sold for $14.58. Moving along is Stratomatic right here, CD-ROM Basketball 2017. These are a bunch of like different PC sport games, or I'm not fully sure. We got a bunch and I listed a bunch. Some of these need keys, some of them don't. Some people have issues, others don't. So we'll see how this one does. This one sold for $21. This is for Basketball 2017. It's like a really in-depth world. They've been going on for a long time. I think like you can do your own leagues, and it has a bunch of stats and different games you can play. Not like a game you're thinking like Xbox or something, but it's more like on the computer and like spreadsheets and stuff. All right, moving along is a lot of 29 wooden vintage different triangle shapes. There's some cone shapes. I believe Annetta grabbed this at like some yard sale. She got a bunch of like vintage wooden blocks for like really cheap, like 25 cents, 50 cents, or $1. This lot of 29 sold for $10. This was like the last bits and pieces of that lot, so I didn't know what to do with it. So I was like, you know what? They're all red. They're all similar, triangle-ish. So there you go. Someone wants them for whatever project or craft they want to work on. All right, moving along is a book that I listed semi-recently, probably in a week or two. Robert Heinlein Revolt in 2100. There you go. I'm not sure. This is probably fiction right there. It's a paperback book. It's in okay condition. It sold for $14.04. Looks like it's sci-fi. I'm looking at my listing now. All right, next up is a Sonic the Hedgehog figure right here. I can't remember this guy's Shadow. I think this is Shadow right here. This sold for $15. Yeah, it's just a little action figure. It looks like there's some cards with it. Yeah, there's like a whole little collection someone can collect in the back. Someone like Sonic. Sonic's relatively popular. All right, moving along. This is I believe, some kind of German card game right here. I don't know the English name. I probably didn't have enough characters on my because you get an 80 character limit for listing on eBay. But right here, this is by Amigo. I've seen that company before. They sell a lot of card games and board games. This is just going to be like a bunch of cards. There's a chicken on the front. It has like decent art if you're into this kind of like wacky art. It sold for $22.50. I always love grabbing the foreign games. All right, next up, let me double check. I believe is a combo order. It's going to be Advanced Squad Leader Scenarios. So this right here is 13 through 20. It has like the name, everything you need, the turns that I think like infantry and tanks come out, and the whole rules for it. Yeah, this game is a really in-depth game, and they have a bunch of stuff on it. Right here is Squad Leader 21 through 32 right there. Yeah, a bunch of different scenarios there. I got a lot of these. I couldn't tell if these were like printed at first or not, but I was like looking really carefully at them, and I felt like I kept all of the ones that were legit. This sold for about $31 for both, so they were each $15.79. Those are by Avalon Hill. Next up is a Blu-ray. We grab a lot of stuff IMAX under the C3D right here. I don't think it has the 3D glasses, but this is just a Blu-ray. We grab these fairly often now. This sold for $9.37. It's so easy to list, and there's no scratches on the disc, so it should be good to go. Next up, I don't even remember where we got this. This is a 2001 Transformers Mega Octane Combiner like gun. So I probably just did Google reverse image when I knew I had Transformers stuff. Found that this was like a piece, and people are missing pieces, so they want to pair them together with their incomplete figure to make it complete. This sold for $7.89. Really easy to ship. All right, next up is an item that Aneta's mom gave us. This is like a Hawaiian, like a frosted glass cup right here. This sold for $12. Yeah, Aneta's mom got a bunch of like different glasses and drink holders and stuff like that from someone because they were going to go on more vacations and they wanted to fill up their shelf with new ones, and they just gave her the old ones and she gave them to us to list. I listed them in like a day. There was like 20 of them. This is like third or fourth that sold. It sold for $12. All right, next up is a radio right here, Sony radio. I don't know if Aneta remembers where she grabbed this, maybe like a thrift store or something, but yeah, this is in good condition right here. Sony cassette quarter, 2 bands, CFM 23 FM AM radio. I tested it, radio works. All the buttons on the top work to pop up the cassette. I didn't have a cassette to test it, but it should be good to go, and they're probably just going to use this as a radio. So yeah, even the battery compartment looked pretty good. There was not the battery acid, which is pretty obnoxious. So yeah, that sold for $69.99. We normally don't do electronics. Aneta likes to grab radios, and she's done really well with them. But yeah, that's just one of the few that we've grabbed. So I like to get the space back in the storage unit. All right, next up is a hardcover book right here, a military one, American Heritage, the Civil War right here. This had like a decent amount of wear, but it is hardcover. Yeah, this is volume 8, and this sold for $16. Moving along, we got a plushie, Rainbow Bright Stormy plush doll. I don't know who this is. I just looked it up when we got it. Looks like it's by like Hallmark right here. Relatively good condition. A couple of scuffs on the face, but like really not that bad. This sold for $19.99 plus shipping. I get more space when I sell big things like that. All right, next up. This I listed during the 500 items in 5 days challenge. I have all the videos down below. It's one of my like first few videos I posted. Miracle Strip Amusement Park brochure right here. There you go. It's just a little brochure. This sold for $20. We love grabbing this stuff, but we haven't found too much. Aneta grabbed some recently at a thrift store, but I have to list them. I'm probably going to list them today right after this video. They do well for us. Very easy to store. All right, coming on up is a combo order right here. JT Model Parts. These are like street posts and street lights for like a train set, like or maybe someone could be using them as RPG train accessories or miniature accessories, but they are for trains. It's a combo order. These both sold together for $36. All right, next up, right here is Baseball, a film by Ken Burns, PBS. Right here, it's gonna be a bunch of them. There's like 6 DVDs. It says it's from the 1840s to 2009. It's oh, there you go, 11 disc set. I just read it. This sold for $17.55. So yeah, more physical media going out the door. All right, next up is a John Deere 9870 STS Combine right here. This is actually a pretty legit like figure toy. We got this at a really interesting sale. A person was just getting rid of, I think, their like parents' stuff and some of their stuff or something like that a bit ago when we first moved around here. This one, I'm glad to get the space back. It took me a while to list it because at first the pieces were kind of like out and about in the box, and then I just like couldn't figure out how to get the styrofoam out without making a big mess and to put them back. I wanted it to look nice before listing it. I eventually just did it. I was like, okay, time to get this away from my listing room to get the space here. It's great. It's gonna be a little annoying to ship out, but this is $62.50 for this one. That's a cool sale. So there was a lot of unique stuff we got at that one. All right, moving along. If I can find it right here. Oh, it's gonna be hard to see. This is just some like RPG terrain. This I marked as ceramic miniature RPG wargaming rubble building right here. Yeah, there's like a building in ruins. There's like a roof that you can still see and like the windows. It looks really cool. It's only a couple inches high in this way. I got a bunch of these, like some were broken, some weren't. Ceramic like terrain accessories for miniature games or RPGs or just for painting or whatever the person wants to use them for. So I just listed all of them, even the broken bits and pieces I put together. I'd be like, oh, broken bits and pieces for a bridge, because I think that's why we got them really cheap, a couple bucks for a whole box of them. So yeah, this sold for $12 itself. That one actually looked broken, but it wasn't broken. It was supposed to look like a ruined building. All right, next up, I got this item from when we filled up the table here with a bunch of stuff. This was in, I believe, 4th edition Warhammer box. This is Epic Titan Legions, the Fires of Gehenna scenarios booklet. There you go. It's going to have a bunch of scenarios. This one sold for $15. I knew when I saw these Warhammer books, the vintage ones, even good ones, I knew that they were going to sell. There's only a couple left I have from that particular box. And then the last item, took me forever to find, Corey Christensen, Roll With It right here, a CD. Never heard it, never listened to it, at least not that I know of. CD looks good. There's no scratches. So yeah, we have a bunch of CDs. We got like a whole car for $75, literally my whole car. I still have way more than I knew I had to list, and I just took a break listening because I want to list kind of like heavier dollar stuff, or at least like I don't want to have the whole store of CDs. I probably have like 300 or so more to list. But yeah, I'll get to them. They are pretty quick to list, and it is decent money, $9.69. We do like the physical media. So yeah, that's everything that I'm going through that we're going to ship out today on Monday. So this is all the stuff from the weekend. I'm going to jump into a couple things that we did on the weekends. So if you're only here for eBay, you don't have to worry about it. That's pretty much the video. Thank you for watching. All right, so the first thing up is Sky Team. We got this board game. Annetta found one copy. We were just talking about board games we haven't played in a little bit. This is a 2-player co-op game. I've seen this talked about before on like websites that talk about board games. The art just doesn't do it for me. I don't really care about planes and stuff, but Annetta did, so she looked into this, and then she realized it's a co-op game with dice. I do like dice, so on the back here, you probably can't see it, but you're both, someone's playing a pilot, the other person's playing a co-pilot. You're using dice to roll dice. The other person can't see it. You have your little like board that hides the dice from the player. You're on teams. You take turn. You talk before each round about what you're going to do, and then when you roll the dice, you can't actually talk anymore. And then it's like you place a die, they place a die. You're trying to like mess with the wheels, the flaps of the wing. You're using your radios to clear up the runway so your plane can land. The goal is to land a plane in these different cities, and then there's a whole, once you beat the base game, there's a whole booklet of scenarios that introduced new components and ways to either make it harder or easier for you. So it's kind of like a mini campaign at that point where you get to pick and choose where you want to land, and then you are going to have to defeat some of the challenges, and they get harder and harder. So we've defeated like 4 or 5 of the 21. So really cool, interesting game. It was $30, which is relatively cheap for a board game. I would say I have 2 different ratings. This was, I believe, a 10 for a net out of 10. This was a 7 out of 10 compared to every other board game that exists, but when we were playing it, we had a good time, so that's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's just the plane thing just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't. But it was a well thought out game, and we'll be able to play it more because we saw the rest of the different challenges to go through. And the other thing we went to do over the weekend, we went to like a Wisconsin like taste, like those, like you go to whatever, a bunch of booths are set up with different foods. What? Which one? Taste of Kenosha. There you go. Really cool place to walk around. So yeah, it was super hot out, and the sun was like really fried us for all Sunday. We basically couldn't do anything but lay around and like play video games and just relax. But yeah, we went there on Saturday, got some good food. She got some good tacos. We got some good lemonade, and then I tried deep fried Oreos for the first time. Never tried them. They were okay, better than I thought. But yeah. The food was like relatively cheap compared to like a taste around here, but like, you know, it was still pretty expensive, but not too bad. So yeah, that's what we did for the weekend. Let me know what you guys did for the weekend. Also, let me know how your eBay is doing, or if you've played any fun board games. I know that's a lot of random stuff. I'm just curious. Comment down below if you guys are in the eBay world, board game world, or just did something fun for the weekend. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one.